Mark Angelo is a river conservationist, also is the founder of the BC Rivers Day and World Rivers Day. He has received many honorary doctorates for his work, including one just a few weeks ago from BCIT. And he's got a new book out. It is called River Magic, Tales from a Life on 1,000 Rivers. And we're so happy that Mark Angelo is here to tell us all about it. A very good afternoon to you.
Gloria, good afternoon to you. Nice to see you again.
You're looking well. I'm so glad you were able to come in. Why was it important for you to document some of these river adventures? And again, 1,000 rivers, that's pretty impressive. I'm sure that's just tip of the iceberg for you too.
Well, the book River Magic, I published it through Hancock House Publications, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but it takes the reader on this multi-decade global adventure. And it chronicles a lot of my real-life on-river encounters with amazing animals and big fish and unique cultures and, of course, wild rivers. But I wanted to write it. It's a collection of short stories, and I wanted to write it in such a way that it was geared towards a broad audience. That was important to me, so that readers of all ages could better appreciate the allure of rivers, the magic of rivers, along with the need to better care for them.
Well, yeah, and with more than 1,000 river experiences, I don't even know where you would start to put a book together like this, but what were some of the stories that stood out for you?
Well, there's lots of stories, Gloria. You know, I had one, I think it's chapter 6. It's a chapter entitled Hippo. It chronicles an encounter, a close-up encounter I had with a hippo in the Zambezi River. The hippo actually charged our raft. And, you know, those animals, they don't swim. They actually trot along the river bottom, but they move at an incredible speed. And he was coming towards us. The wake looked like a torpedo wake.
Oh, that must have been frightening. Really?
And he hit our raft so hard. He opened his mouth. They opened their mouth at an incredible angle, and he bit down on the chamber just 2 feet from me, in front of me, and the chamber exploded, and I actually got thrown into the air and into the water. And my left hand, I never thought I would ever touch a hippo, but my left hand actually grazed the back of a hippo. It's probably the most scared moment. I've never been more scared on any river trip, but that's a story that I wanted to chronicle, and there's many other stories like that, close-up encounters.
Oh, do tell. Yeah, I'm leaning in right now. Okay, I mean, you've traveled all over the world and been on these rivers. What else?
Well, you know, one of the stories talks about a close encounter I had on the Ozernaya River in Russia with a huge Kamchatka brown bear, and once again, face-to-face, and I was just in the process of releasing a fish. I had my waders on. The water was fast and deep. I couldn't go in the river because I ran the risk of my waders filling up with water, and that could be a very dangerous situation. But we were only a foot apart, nose to nose, and he was probably on a ledge a foot taller than me, so he looked massive. He looked as big as this studio, actually. So my response was what any self-respecting fly fisher would do. I screamed the loudest I ever screamed.
Did it work?
It did. In this case, but there's lots of stories like that.
He thought you caught him some lunch, I think, right?
I'm sure he was looking at me and thinking, who is this creature? Yeah. But, you know, the stories go on. You know, I've had times up north where I rolled out of my sleeping bag only to be surrounded by a huge herd of caribou right in our camp. You know, one of my most memorable experiences, too, I have a great passion for northern Manitoba, and I was on the Churchill River down near the outlet in the summer, and there's lots of beluga whales that gather there. It's an incredible place. But in a kayak, I happened to paddle about just, 40, 50 meters offshore to look at this polar bear that was sitting right on the rocks, right on the water's edge, only to find myself surrounded all of a sudden by all of these belugas. And they were closer than you and I, you know. They were just a couple of feet from me, and their vocalizations were so amazing. They're often called the canary of the sea because of the way they vocalize. But, you know, they can have high-pitched, low-pitched vocalizations, but they're incredible. And I mean, I could go on, but I hope when people read the book that they'll find it an exciting read, a fun read, an adventurous read, but at the same time, an educational one. You know, I think the book is written in such a way that it's very accessible to a lot of people, for anybody who might have an interest or a passion for nature, for the outdoors, or for adventure or travel. my hope is that they'll find the book of interest. So I wanted to write something that wasn't geared just towards those that were already passionate about waterways, but also those that were just beginning perhaps to see the allure and magic of rivers.
Well, the allure, the magic, even the poetic beauty, I suppose, of being on a river and just, lazily sort of floating down. But we know as well there's another side, right? Rivers can be dangerous. They can be unpredictable as well. What went through your mind when you heard about the tragic flooding last week at the Guadalupe River in Texas?
Oh, it was tragic, Gloria. My heart goes out to everybody that's affected. A lot of people died and big.
And so sudden.
Oh,
so
I know.
Sudden.
And a big precipitation event. River conditions can change very, very rapidly. And I've seen some floods like that myself. Sometimes the development activities that occur around a river can exacerbate it. Sometimes if you lose a lot of vegetation because of a fire, that can exacerbate it. But the bottom line is, in this era of climate change, there's a lot more rivers that are prone to flood than was the case perhaps 4 or 5 decades ago.
Okay, that's a result of climate change right now, but there's also changes, as you point out, because of development or just disregard, I guess. I've just come back from a trip to Southeast Asia, and I was startled to see firsthand the devastation caused by plastics pollution in riverways, through cities, through little towns, even in very remote areas. Just this disregard for what the life of the river, I suppose. So what are your biggest concerns when it comes to, conservation today?
Oh, certainly, pollution and industrial development, for rivers, the excessive extraction of water, climate change. You make a point about plastics. We read a lot about plastics in the ocean, microplastics. But the biggest source of plastics, the biggest contributor of plastics to the ocean is the plastic that comes from rivers. There's just a handful of rivers that are major contributors of plastic to the ocean. So there are no shortage of issues, no shortage of pressures, no shortage of things that have to be addressed. My hope is that we will address them.
Well, let's talk about that hope, because I know you have dedicated your life, Mark, to river conservation. So what does give you hope that we can reverse some of the damage that's already been done?
Oh, Gloria, I am still hopeful. I think of an event like Rivers Day as an example that started here in BC. It's now been embraced around the world. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, environmental celebration on the planet. The fact that millions of people in well over 100 countries embrace that, that's a sign that waterways are dear to their heart. That's a reason for hope. I think of the many young people that I've had the great pleasure of working with. I'm such a believer.
You've got photographs in here with little ones putting some little fish fry back into the streams.
I am such a believer in children. I'm such a believer in the younger generations today. But I've seen so many young people that are passionate, dedicated, committed, principled. They've done great things in their own right. And that, too, makes me hopeful. And just as one more example, the last couple of years we've been working on a film. It's called The Rewilders. It's going to start the festival circuit this fall. But we've been documenting some of the really great, large-scale, successful ecological restoration efforts around the globe. And some of them have had incredible success. And they've highlighted the fact that if there's a plan put in place, if there's a will, if there's a commitment, we can turn things around. And that nature can heal itself if only we give it a chance. So things like that make me hopeful as well.
Mark, thank you for what you do. We will turn our attention to World Rivers Day. That's coming up, fourth week of September?
Fourth Sunday, 28th? September 28th.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in, and congratulations on the book.
Gloria, thank you.